Alright, because we did some of these problems in class, I'm only going to work out a few of your homework problems tonight right now. But we can do a few. Do number 11. I don't know which other ones we'll do. 2x squared minus 24x plus 33 equals 0. Here I use quadratic formulas to figure out what A, B, and C are. A, B, C. A is 2, B is negative 24, C is 33. We're going to put this in the quadratic formula. We just need to figure out what are the right places to put everything. But since you have the quadratic formula memorized, you'll know where. Negative b, so that's a negative 24 plus or minus 24 squared minus 4 times 2 times 33 all over 2 times 2. Now we got to go through and simplify. Negative 24 is positive 24 plus or minus the square root of 24 squared is 576 minus 4 times 2 times 33. That I need to work out in my head. I can't work out in my head. 8 times 33, 4 times 24, 25, 26, 264 minus 264 all over 4. 24 plus or minus the square root of, we gotta do this, 2, 1, 312 over 4. I don't know if there's a square root of 312. So what I can do is what we did earlier in class day, I showed you, look and see if there's any perfect squares that go into 312. 312 is the same thing as 4 times 78, I believe. Check that real quick. 2, 3, 28, 29, 30, 31. Yeah. Is 4 times 78. 78 doesn't have any perfect squares that go into it. But we can take out 2 and we'll have a radical of 78. Because we get the square root of each of those. Square root of 4 is 2, square root of 78 is 78. Square root of 78. So you get 24 plus or minus 2 radical 78 over 4, which is just about done. We don't like that each of these numbers divides by 2, so we're going to go ahead and divide each of those numbers by 2, and we're going to get 12 plus or minus radical 78 over 2. In the book, they're going to leave that answer. They're going to make that answer into a decimal, because they're going to do that in their calculator. That's fine if you want to do that, but this is fine too, and we'll leave it there. Let's work out another one. How about, I don't know, 15. 15 says 3x squared minus 11x minus 2 equals 0. A is 3, B is negative 11, C is negative 2. Put this in the quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. Notice I haven't put any of the numbers in yet. Now I'm going to go through negative b, so negative 11 plus or minus negative 11 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 2 all over 2 times 3. We're going to get 11 plus or minus the square root of 121. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12 times 2 is positive 24. All over 2 times 3 is 6. We're going to get 11 plus or minus the square root of 145 over 6. 145 doesn't have any perfect squares in it, so we're going to leave the answer as 11 plus or minus radical 145 over 6. But if you could take a square root, you would. Unfortunately, we can't. In the back of the book, they're going to leave that as a decimal, so the answer will be a decimal in the back of the book. But it should be the same. If you went through and did this as a decimal, put it in a calculator, you could get that as well. Show you maybe one more, maybe two more. How about something like 25? Let's do 27. 3x squared plus 4x equals 10. Subtract 10 from both sides because you want this in standard form. So we get 3x squared plus 4x minus 10 equals 0. A is 3, B is 4, C is negative 10. Put them in the quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Put this in. We're going to get negative 4 plus or minus 4 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 10 all over 2 times 3. You get negative 4 plus or minus square root of 4 squared is 16. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Times negative 10 is positive 120 all over 6. You get negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 136 over 6. 136 does have a perfect square in it, so I'm going to go over here and simplify this. 136 is the same thing as 4 times 34. So square root of 136 becomes square root of 4 times square root of 34, which is 2 square root of 34. Negative 4 plus or minus 2 square root of 34 over 6. These all have a 2 in them, so I'm going to divide 2 out of each of those. I'm going to get negative 2 plus or minus radical 34 over 3. And that'll be my answer. I really want to pick one that would work out. So how about 29? Let's do 29, and then I'll let you go. Do the rest on your own. 13n squared minus 117 equals 0. On this one, a is 13, b equals 0, c equals negative 117. So you get negative 0 plus or minus square root of 0 squared minus 4 times 13 times negative 117 all over 2 times 13. So now we just got to figure out what this number is. 4 times 13 is 52. So I'm going to have to do 52 times 117, which this isn't any kind of fun. 14, 1, 2, 3, 2, 0, 5, 3, 5, 8, 5, 4, 8, 0, 1. Square root of 6,084. So we get plus or minus square root of 6084 all over 26. The square root of 6084 is going to be, what is that going to be? Let's see. Figuring out the square root of 6084. Well, there's one way to do this if you don't know a square root. You can start making a factor tree. This would be 2 times 3042. That's the same thing as 2 times 1521. What goes into 1521? That'd be like 3 times 507, which is the same thing as 3 times 169, and 169 is 13 times 13. Anytime you have a double. So it's the same thing. 6084 is the same thing as 2 squared times 3 squared times 13 squared. So if I take a square root, I'm going to get 2 times 3 times 13, which is 6 times 13. 6 times 13 is 678. So the square root is plus or minus 78 over 26, which is, how many times does 13 go into, how many times does 26 go into 78? 3 times. And that would be your answer. If you don't know square root of 6084 though, you don't have to do what I did. You can just use it, put in your calculator, and you get that. So anyways, there's some of these worked out for you. Good luck on the rest of them, and make sure you have the quadratic memorized, quadratic formula memorized.